Depois eu explico, mas o dono vendeu. Ah, não, você está morando aqui pertinho? Entendi. Acho que eu seria. Acho que umas 3, 4 quadros aqui. Bom. Eu vou usar o microfone por causa que se a gente desligar ali, todo mundo morre de calor. Let's start with our prayer. I invite everybody to close your eyes. And during each breath, Start feeling more relaxed. Start feeling more lighter and in contact with all the spirits present here, guiding our work of the day, bringing us peace, bringing us light, bringing us love. And in this inner light, we start feeling the presence of our dear Father, bringing us His presence of love, of charity, of justice. We thank you, Lord, for the opportunity of being here today, reflecting on this so special doctrine which is Spiritism. Learning to feel, feeling to live the truth. Let us guide and mold our guide and model, Jesus, be present today, helping us in this contact of love with you, dear Father. So we create good vibrations, spreading this love wherever we pass through, with whoever we make contact, incarnated or disincarnated. I kindly ask you, dear Lord, your delight of today's lecture, of today's meeting. Please invite the souls, the beings in pain, in anger, addicted to the old drugs. Let us be light in the darkness, always mirroring Jesus' light. So be it. Okay, so today we will start a very special, and I would like to invite you to participate. Our study today starts, it's going to be a series of 4. It was supposed to be 3. It said, no, let's go for 4. So with very questions like, where did we come from? Why we are here? Where did we go? Where do we go when we die? What lies beyond the here and the now? We will go through all the Spirit's book. So today we will start with, where did we come from? And this very question brings us reflection of the part 1 of the Spirit's book. Do you guys remember what's the part 1? Sorry, I know it's painful, but it's better than cooking up here.
The existence of God is God.
Yeah, that's a few questions or parts or sub-chapters. But the part one, the Spirit's book is divided in four parts, right? There's the first part called the first causes. Welcome. Thank you. The first part of the Spirit's book is called the first causes. The second part is related to the Spirit's world. The third part are the moral laws. And finally, the fourth is the consolations and the pains of this world. So if you remember the questions, where did we come from? So the first cause, right? That brings us, enlighten us the answers. So I was explaining, and it's your primarily interest that we will start a series of four studies today. First of all, paying honor to this wonderful book. Would would someone would you mind to go and grab a Spirit's book in English for us? Um, this book that has been bringing light since 1857, which is 160 years from now. So we will go through consensual questions. For example, where did we come from? Pass through all the parts of the Spirit's book. Why we are here? Where do we go when we die? So all these questions will help us to understand a little more what is in this book. It won't be just a study of the book, but bringing the book or the knowledge in the book to our own lives. What is sometimes we lack in Spiritism. We learn a lot, we learn by heart the questions or the question numbers, but we hardly understand what is in there in our own life. So let's get started. So our objective today is, oops, just a second here because my, okay. So our objective today is reflect about the first cause of all things, and especially us. What is the first cause for our creation? What was again the question of the day? Where did we come from? Yes. So let's make a few questions. So if you want to close your eyes and relax a little bit, it's a first reflection. Where did we come from? Is there a beginning of all things for all things? Who is responsible for our creation? So today we will try to go through the answers of these questions. Questions that philosophically have been with the humankind since we know the humankind. The philosophers have always tried to answer this type of questions. Questions that in this book, in this very special book, we can find answers that make sense, reasonably answered. So, the very first question of the Spirit's book, what is God? See, Kardec's not asking here, who is God? But he's asking, what is God? Why is he asking, what is God?
Different
Why?
personalities.
Why he's asking what and not who?
Because to know, I think before we know, we want to know who, we want to know what it is.
Well, Kardec, as we know, was a superior spirit incarnated with a huge mission, which was codify the spirit's doctrine. So when you come in 18th century and think that God was seen as that old being sitting in a throne, ruling the whole thing, and now we have to get demystified of this vision, of this old thinking, because as a superior spirit, he had already evolved enough to understand a little deeper the presence of God in his life. So that brings us, is God a being like us? Or we are just trying in our own ignorance, trying to just create a figure of man for God? Well, the answer is perfect. God is the supreme intelligence, the first cause of all things.
I think maybe the other reason that he asked what is God is just when you ask who is God, you create a very you create a limitation. When you ask what is God, it can be you leave it open, right?
That's
To
true.
the real answer. Because if you ask you who, and the spirits could say, could just give a like an answer that doesn't answer his question because it doesn't apply to
Yeah. And this brings us to the second question that I won't bring here, but as I mentioned, we'll take some root questions from the Spirit's book these days and analyzing them. So I will mention other questions that are related. So the question number two, he asks, what is meant by infinite? Everything that will limit is finite. What is infinite, there is no limits. But our own language is still limited to explain what is without limits, what is infinite. And this is also answered in the Spirit's book. But in our incapacity to understand God in his whole power, his whole presence, his own whole justice, his whole love, we usually use the word infinite, something that we don't establish limits, we don't put in the square, right? It's abroad our capacity of understanding, fully understanding. But this answer brings us a very important reflection that since then we didn't have in human first cause of all things. And we will understand a little deeper why first cause of all things. which is related to God's attributes. Okay? So far, any questions, any points? So if we go and talk about the proofs of the existence of God, the question number 4 is perfect to talk about it. Where may we find proof for God, for the God existence, or for the existence of God?
Everywhere.
Everywhere. There is an old quote in science that brings us mainly the answer of this. And this is also where the spirits base their reflection for this question. If there is something that exists,
Human beings are being born with the knowledge of God within. How
that's
do you explain
that's a good point. That's also brought in the Spirit's book, and Kardec brings this reflection. What is this feeling that we born with, or so many generations, so many societies believe that's out there? So this question is very important. But the answer of this, and you know what? Why don't you participate? Why don't one of you read the answer of this? Yeah, Craig's it.
Yeah, we are only 5 people here.
And some dozens of
that?
disencouraged.
1 million. I'm sorry for the you action you apply to all our sciences. There is no effect without a cause. If you would search for the cause of an error, is not is not the work of human beings, then reason will answer your question.
So there is no effect without cause. Thank you very much, God. There is no effect without cause. We keep saying this all the time, but who created us? God. Who created the whole thing? Everything else must have a cause behind the effect, right? The reason we will answer your question is whatever is not the work of human beings. So it's not our creation. We didn't create ourselves. Some may say, no, it was my parent and my mom who created me. Okay, who created your mom and dad? Who created? And then you keep going backwards and backwards and backwards. Someone has created the whole thing. And we could use, and Kardec uses also, the spirits use this reflection. Imagine a workman, and everything that this workman creates belongs to him, right? That's when we call, this is my son, my creation, right? Sometimes you create a program or you create a nice design like this one, and this is my son, this is my own creation. And this is why we call him Father, because we are creation of him. This is also in the Spirit's book, the question 9 of the Spirit's book. Very interesting reflection about the first cause of all things. Do you guys remember the attributes of the divinity or God? We talk about it every Monday, so you should know.
I don't know in English, but only Portuguese.
Stream justice,
All the
spirit justice, law, kindness. Sobriedade, justo,
Yeah, we don't know in
Right.
English.
Good. That's good. Well, the thing is, we usually know learn by heart these attributes. We know all about them, but what they reflect in our own lives, what they mean to us. Because okay, we superior spirits or enlightened spirits like Jesus won't teach us anything by chance or won't say anything by chance. They will teach us something that's meaningful, very meaningful to us. So, for example, God is unique. There is not just one God. And in the Spirit's book and also in the Genesis, according to Spiritism, there is this passage. God's oneness is the consequence of the absolute infiniteness of God's perfection. We will talk a little more about this later, but since we were created, are aren't we one spirit? I spirit. Are we or not? Will we ever pulverize or become part of the whole creation, or we will always be this spirit? What do you guys think? We will always be this spirit. And this is very clear in the Spirit's book. Because as much as we evolve, as much as our spirit becomes ethereal, we will still be that spirit. Am I, and this is very hard to say in English, am I Eric or I am Eric now? Em português é muito mais fácil. Eu estou Eric ou eu sou Eric? Exactly. Why? Why that? Because the beings pass through many lives. But at the same time, we are unique because we will always be this being with all these experiences that helped us to evolve. Okay? So this is very important to reflect about this attribute because we are, as we are creations of God, we will never merge to Him or merge between us. We will always be one spirit and always evolving, always. Unlimited, infinite is this evolvement. And it's very hard for us to understand what is infinite evolvement because we can't go that far, right? Our own language can't that far. That's why we are imperfect or ignorant. And for a understanding of this, sometimes I use this metaphor. If we take, don't have my cell phone with me right now, but imagine you take your cell phone, go back in time. We don't need to go that far. Like we can go 50 years, maybe 100 years ago, two, three generations before. Can you explain in their language what is your cell phone
Or even a phone.
or even a phone? Well, Graham Bell was about 100 years ago, so yeah, they would understand. But he was like a wizard. Yeah, he was a wizard, right? Like some people said, no, this guy should go to the fire pit because he is a wizard or something. So the next one, the next attribute is immateriality. God would not be immutable because otherwise, right? God would not be immutable because God would be subject of the transformations of matter. As we know, matter keeps changing all the time. Even though it's a very slow pace for a rock, for example, changing. So if we take the same rock billions of years ago, it is different. But if God doesn't change, it's immutable, it has to be immaterial. That's why we say God is pure spirit, and even have the pure spirit as we have. But at the same time, coming back here, what does it mean for us? It means that the more detached to matter, the more evolved we are, isn't it? Um,
Sorry, the more what? Sorry?
the more evolved we get, or we are, the more detached of matter. So we are following this path, but we will never be totally material, as I said, because the more ethereal is our pure spirit is still based in matter. Otherwise, we would be becoming God if we totally detach from matter. Immutability or immutable, God, if God were subject to change, the laws that govern the universe would have no stability. And this is make totally sense, right? If the divine laws kept changing as our laws or the man laws, imagine how much chaos we will have in this universe. So the divine laws are always there and they are perfect the way they are. They don't need to change. And if they changed, God would change. Eternity. God's eternal, meaning that God had no begin and will have no end. What is the difference between us and this quote?
We are the beginning.
We have the beginning. We were created at some point. We are immortals. We have no end, but we have a beginning. And this is also very harsh to understand. What is a thing that has no beginning? Our poor language is still lacking to get there. Keep going. On omnipotence. If God did not possess supreme power, no one other or one no other could surpass in power. So there is no there. No other, so avoid that no. And that being would be God. So that this means that he wouldn't be unique. So the first step that we saw there would be gone. Or we would understand that could be many gods, and one god be might power than the other one. And this came from the figures that we understand from the Greek mythology, the Roman mythology. And this is where, unfortunately, The Catholic Church read their saints. The saints are nothing more than evolved spirits. But for the Catholic Church, they became semi-gods, which doesn't make any sense. Otherwise, they would be as powerful as God is. And this is why the figure of devil, which competes with God, because if he is supreme power, how could some of his own creation could compete with him? Doesn't make any sense. Omniscience, he knows everything. God is the supreme and surveilling intelligence. God's intelligence embracing the infinite must be infinite. So, if he knows everything, we can't really understand. That's why we use again the word infinite here, because there are no limits for his intelligence. What is our connection to this attribute? How do you see our connection to this attribute? I can use a passage of Jesus to explain it. You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. We are beings looking for knowledge to evolve. It's not the knowledge that will set us free, but the truth. But to get to the truth, we have to know it. Doesn't make any sense that the truth will fall down on my head and now I'm a spirit. We have to go for science. Science means knowledge, right?
It's already there. Is there Newton? Just fold something on a tree, and you got the truth.
Some it's physical God's laws. Yeah, he's understood the physical God law, but are there just physical laws, right? We usually use also this metaphor. For us, it's pretty understandable how the gravity or the law of gravity can hurt us. Just easy, just jump from this building. Why we don't do it? Because Isaac Newton, for example, helped us to understand this law. But why we keep fighting with the moral laws? We go in pain. But can we learn about it? Yeah, this book has a lot of understandings about it. So much the Spiritist doctrine, or more, or the gospel of Jesus. The gospel of Jesus are the pure God's laws. Everything is in there. Many told by parables. And many of you had the chance to see it here a weekend ago, one parable, and see how deep these teachings from so little or few words or few words. So we have to understand that we are always pursuing science, but he is the only one with the supreme and absolute science. Omnipresence, like all the beings of nature, we are immersed in the divine fluid, just as we are immersed in light. What happens if I turn off these lights? We will see each other.
We will feel each other.
We will feel each other. That's a point that we can discuss a whole study about it. How conscious are we to feel each other? Much of us are so inconscient that you can put someone at death by side of someone who can hear, and this person who can hear can't really feel the presence of the other being because our incapacity of access our conscious. But this is a good point. The more we evolve, the more we can feel the vibration on the or the connection with the other beings. That's a good point. But what is he talking about here? We are immersed in the divine fluid. Didn't we say that God is immaterial? Fluid is a matter. It is a matter. It's just a little more ethereal than the solid thing, but is still right. But what is he basically telling us that we are immersed in all this energy, all this light that we can call God. So this is why this approach of saying God is something out there doesn't make much sense, right?
And I think that Kardec in the Genesis, he says that the divine fluid is the thought of God. So it's what connects us to God.
Yeah.
And Paul summarized in one of his letters that we in God we exist and in God we move. So it's like
Yeah.
fishes in the ocean.
We are, that's a great approach. Like, if we understand as an ocean or a pool, we are in contact with Him all the time. Absolute goodness and justice, as you tried to say before, or we can substitute absolute to supreme. Essential wisdom of the divine laws is revealed in in the tiniest things as well as in the greatest, and that wisdom allows no doubt about either God's justice or goodness. Basically, the same here. His laws are the same for everybody. There are no privileges in the creation. We still, many still think that Jesus was created perfect. No, Jesus had to pass through all the steps of evolution to get as pure spirit or light and spirit. Okay, let's keep moving. Pantheism. Many people still believe in pantheism, which is connected to what we talked before. I mentioned about it. That one day we will evolve enough that we will be part of God. We will be gods, or whatever you want to call it. So Kardec asks the spirits about it. What should we think of the option holding that all the bodies in nature, all the beings in and globes in the universe are components of the divinity, and taken all together compromise the divine divinity itself, i.e., the pantheistic doctrine. Who can read this one first?
Since humans are unable to make themselves God, they would like to at least be a part of God.
A good approach that we can make in here. Let's use again the metaphor of our friend Danilo. He created this. He is from Danilo. But is this Danilo? No. A paint was created by the painter. It was his creation, but is not the painter. Does it make sense? It will never be the painter. Let's keep moving. Question number 17. Can humans, now we are talking about the knowledge of all things or an origin of all things. Can humans know the origin of things? See, we're talking humans here. Very important thing. So don't miss this word. What do you think? No? We can read this one for us.
No, on earth, God does not allow everything to be revealed to them.
And why is that? Basically because we have to understand that this is a word that we are still evolving to get as pure spirits. It's all close to matter. We still need to pass through the matter. Yet, we can't really understand. That's what he means here.
There is another thing. If you know all, you be God.
If you know the absolute, if you achieve the absolute intelligence, yes. And this is why we will never, we will always have a relative intelligence. We will never reach the absolute. And the question 19, can't humans grasp some of the nature's secret through science investigation? Can or we can't? Yes, we can. Our friend Marcus just gave us an example of Newton. Science has been given to them for their achievement in all matters, but they cannot go beyond the limits set by God. And the limits we have here are basically the matter. We can't really understand what is all without matter because it's so hard for us to really understand electricity, for example, which we can't see. We can't see the electricity, but we can measure it. Imagine God that we can't see and we can't measure, so doesn't make much sense, right?
That's probably why the moral laws are so difficult to follow.
Exactly. That's a very great and important point. But you have to know them first to what? You have to know them first to respect them. So, oops. What is the spirit? This is a very important question. Question number 23 of the Spirit's book. What is the spirit? I am spirit. You are spirit. Everybody here is a spirit. Even the disincarnated that we can't see are spirits. But what is spirit? What is the definition of spirit?
I don't know if it's correct. I'm going to try to translate. It's an intelligent cause.
It's a pretty close, not cause. You're just using the wrong word. But let's show it. The intelligent principle of the universe. So the spirit is the intelligence behind the matter. And also use go back to question 22nd. What's going on here? Okay. The question 22nd, the item A, Then how can we define matter? Matter is the tie that enchains spirit. It is the instrument that spirit uses and upon which it simultaneously exerts its actions. So there is matter and there is intelligence, intelligent principle. Without the matter, the intelligent principle cannot move, cannot evolve, cannot do anything. It's needed the matter to exert its actions as it is there. And the question 27 is very important about it because Kardec then asks, so are there two general elements in the universe, matter and spirit? Are those true? So if we take all the everything matter, the pure matter, not the changed matter that we know to create all things that we create, are those two the only two things or two elements of the universe? Does it make sense? No? Which is missing here? I will help you. There is missing just one. Okay, I'm gonna help you. Yes, there are two, but over everything is God, the creator and the author of all. These three elements, matter, spirit, and God, comprise the principle of all that exists. They are the universal trinity. So if we take a triangle, the base of the triangle is matter and spirit, but the top is God. This is what they call here universal trinity.
So the universal trinity of the Catholic Church is not too far from the Spiritism.
They
Is it
don't call it
Jesus?
universal trinity. They call
Yeah, they
another
call
name that I
another
don't
name.
remember
But
now.
the
It's
idea is the same, right? They have God, the Spirit, the Holy Spirit, and Jesus, which is the I mean,
yeah,
translated.
it's a misunderstanding of this. They try to extrapolate to get in here, but little hush,
I think
and then
that's
they
the
with this they created the idea that this Trinity is God itself, which doesn't make sense. That's why so many times we see them or the many Christian beliefs Jesus is God, which doesn't make sense. It's a very better understanding that when Jesus says, then God is in me. That means that Jesus was unified to him. He was respecting all his laws. He was in deeply connection with him, which doesn't mean that he is God.
In our limitation, is a God, because we are limited. But if you think of the universe, if you expand that knowledge,
Pretty hard, yes. So the question 33 about creation, how did God create the universe? Who can read this answer? It's very important for us.
to borrow a well-known expression, by the divine will, nothing can be, nothing can better portray that all-powerful will than those grand words from Genesis. God said, "Let there be light," and there was light.
So haven't we said that God is all powerful, God is all science, God's absolute in everything, all those attributes. So that's basically how we can understand a little bit. For him to create that depends on only on its own will.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
They're done? Okay, we need another 5 minutes here. Um, in the question 43, still about the creation, um, when did living beings first appeared on Earth? In the beginning of all was chaos. The elements were all jumbled together, little by little. Each thing settled into its proper place. Then, living beings appropriate for that state of the globe appeared. What does it reminds us?
Science.
Reminds us a book called On the Origin of the Species from our dear Charles Darwin, which was written in 1859. The only difference that this book was written 1857. This version 1857. So what can we understand from that? Yeah, Spiritism is evolutionary. Yeah, we believe in evolution, right? But at the same time, this revelation came before even the new theory of evolution came in place.
So we can assume that Charles Darwin was a spirit,
Well, he
a
read a
spiritist.
book.
That brings us a very important reflection. Charles Darwin once said, by the end of his life, I have never said that I don't believe that I am an atheist. I have never said that I don't believe in God. I consider myself an agnostic, not an atheist, which means in deeply he felt that there were a supreme creation there, a supreme intelligence, as we saw in question number one. He just didn't agree with the current. Maybe if he knew a little better the Spiritism, we don't know. There were lots of important uh, researchers from Kardec's time that agreed with Kardec, but I don't think they had much time together to discuss about these things. On the question 53, there is when we talk about the diversity of the human races, which is a very important thing too, because many people sometimes they see those stupid things. And sorry about the language, but that Kardec was racist because misunderstanding of the what's written. So let's see if he was racist. Putting this in this main work. Did humankind first appear at various points of the globe? Yes, but at different periods, which means some were created, some came from wherever, which is another cause of human race diversity. Later, humankind spread throughout the different climatic zones, and new types arose in the course of the interbreeding between different races. This is what Darwin's theory as well. Nothing changed. He's not saying that one is more capable than the other. They just adapted themselves to the climatic zones that they were living. And in a book called Spiritism, in its most simple expression, it's a very tiny book, very interesting to read, from Kardec as well. Kardec has a passage that he says, every single man and women, different races, different genders, different knowledge, they are all brothers and sisters, as Jesus said. So, once again, punctuate this stupid thing about people saying, trying to uh, create a.
I don't know. My idea of racist, it means that there are different races, like man and monkeys and something like that. Uh, and here it states that there are different races.
No, your understanding of about racism, because the ism of the word brings that I culture one race. I It's like um, egoísmo é o culto ao ego, racismo é o culto a uma raça.
Yeah.
Okay?
But if we are Homo sapiens sapiens, all of us, independent of the color and everything else, there is no other race than Homo sapiens sapiens.
We are now Homo sapiens, living in a Homo sapien
But
body.
at this time we were Homo sapiens sapiens.
Yes, and there is no
So
difference.
there
The
is no
only is
difference.
a devolvement between. It's not that there are no castes, as many religions or beliefs create. I am better than you. No, I just have more knowledge, but doesn't mean that tomorrow, by your own efforts, you can pass me, and then you're gonna be more evolved than me because I was lazy and stayed behind.
Yeah.
That happens all the time. Okay, let's keep on going. I will jump this one. This is a very important one. Organic beans in inorganic beans. The organic beans were already said there. I won't read the whole thing, but basically, the life starts in the organic beans. The inorganic beans, they don't have the vitality yet, but at some point, this vitality will come, and then they will all the inorganic is gonna be evolving to organic being. Basically, it's the vital life. And this connects us to this life and death question, the question number 68. What causes of death of the organic beings? The organs were out. And then Kardec insists, could we compare death to seize the movement in a machine that has broken down? And the answer is perfect. Yes. Yeah, you can compare with machine that was broken down and doesn't work anymore. If the machine has been badly assembled, it breaks down. Likewise, if the body becomes diseased, life leaves it. Life, in the sense of the spirit, it will live, and then this organic body will just perish. And finally, our last one. This is a very important thing about Spiritism. What is intelligence? What is instincts? Who can read the first paragraph for us? Just this first paragraph.
Intelligence.
Intelligence is a special faculty possessed by a certain class of organic beings. It endows them with the means to establish relations with the external world and to provide for their own needs. We may therefore distinguish the following.
Okay, so there is a difference. And basically, the inanimate beings formed of matter alone, without vitality, as we saw, the inorganic beings, intelligence, without the vitality or intelligence, these are the solid bodies of minerals, for example. So there is no instinct or intelligence. But then comes the animated beings like vegetables, animals, non-thinking beings formed of matter and endowed with vitality but not intelligence. Okay, so for example, um, a plant, does it has an instincts or not?
Some of them, yes.
All of them. But for example, how can a plant survive in the desert? It adapts itself. For example, when the sunlight's too strong, it closes where it loses the its water. So and when it's raining, for example, it opens to get as much as it can. And the animate beings formed of matter, endowed with vitality and possessed of intelligence principle that gives them the ability to think. So that's the one that's using the intelligence and the instincts still. For example, when we are babies, is it your intelligence that brings you to the mom's breath to breastfeed? No, it's an instinct of survival. And we evolve through the intelligence. The intelligence helps us to evolve. Well, my friends, I really hope that today we could help to answer where did we come from. Basically, we brought a lot of knowledge that we were created from the same God. We are all living beings created of the same type of matter. We are all evolving to get closer to God. We will talk more about it later, but we are all evolving to get closer to God. And the important thing is we have a lot of science behind this as the spirits brought the knowledge. Okay? All right. So we are very late, so we will go straight to our prayer so we can go to the passes as well. Um, so I invite you to close your eyes. Dear Lord, in this day that we have the possibility to understand who we are, from where did we come from, to grasp a little more what you are in our lives, what means you for us. We especially thank you, God, our Lord, our Father, our supreme intelligence, for giving us the chance of being here today. We kindly ask you, dear Lord, let this flame, let this good intention to evolve through the knowledge seeking the truth, awake our conscience, and as Jesus taught us, through this knowledge, we achieve the truth, and this truth let us set us free. May this knowledge, may this good feeling, may this good vibration be with us. And Jesus guide all our steps during this work, and let us be his apprentices, looking for his knowledge, looking for his teachings. So good. Okay, we'll go to the classes, so if you wish, you can just Hmm? Good. A semana que vem a gente tem o nosso Lunch and Learn. Como é que vocês querem fazer? Potluck? Fazer churrasco? Fazer uma pessoa traz um prato? Ok. Você vem? Então, como é que vocês acham melhor? A questão do potluck é que, no fim, as pessoas acabam gastando mais dinheiro do que... É só isso, que às vezes a pessoa acaba fazendo um prato lá que custa quase $100. Pode ser daquele. Podemos organizar alguma coisa que aí ninguém tem também compromisso de ficar cozinhando, etc. Não. E aí sempre também é um valor pequeno, $10 em geral, para a gente poder. Ok.
Enquanto...
A longa coisa que eu não
Não, porque o que vai ser primeiro, depois que vai ser. Ok, primeiro. Então, primeiro, na verdade, eu vou mostrar uma atividade que a gente fez com as crianças, que nós desenhamos uma linha preta com um marker. E essa linha representa uma coisa que não foi legal que a gente falou para alguém, um desrespeito que a gente fez para alguém. E aí nós passamos pasta de dente branca em cima. E aí nós tentamos apagar o que nós tínhamos falado. E o que nós descobrimos, pessoal? Dá para a gente retirar completamente? Não. Depois que a gente falou alguma coisa, sempre fica, né? Uhum. Então, antes de falar, o que a gente vai fazer? Pensar antes de falar, né? Porque depois que a gente já falou, não dá para apagar completamente. Então, essa foi uma atividade que a gente fez. O Enzo quis manter o papel com pasta de dente dele. Vocês vão levar o dele para casa, tá lá fora. E agora a gente vai cantar uma musiquinha para vocês de respeito. Bruno tem mais sentido que eu. Yeah, sure. Okay? Ready?
Hello, adults.
Very close to your mouth.
Hello, adults. I've got some stories for you, and they all have to do with one word: respect. Well, I was on the playground, and what did I see? Another kid who wanted to use the same monkey bars as me. I wanted to go first, but I said no. After you. Yes, I know respect is the thing to do.
RESPECT. I always treat my friends like I hope they treat me. RESPECT. Treating everybody respectfully.
Well, I walked down the hallway, and what did I see? A teacher with quiet students in a classroom next to me. I wanted to be noisy. I had something to say, but I stayed nice and quiet in a respectful way.
RESPECT. I always treat my friends like I hope they treat me. RESPECT. Treating everybody respectfully. Okay, now twins. Very close to your mouth.
Well, I was doing a puzzle. What did I
see?
I keep forgot to, did the teacher even see? I thought that I just leave it there, as messy as could be. But clean it up, respect, you see.
RESPECT. I always treat my friends like I hope they treat me. RESPECT. Treating everybody respectfully.
Well, I was with my friend, and what did I see? Someone making fun of Tiff being a big bully. Now I could have joined them and be really mean, but instead I was extra nice, respectfully.
RESPECT. I always treat my friends like I hope they treat me. RESPECT. treating everybody respectfully. Okay, now you bow. Thank you.
Great job. Great job.
O bolo, né?
Comeu o bolo. Eu vim só por causa do bolo.
Eu falei pra
É
Gabi.
bolo fit, é bolo fit.
É.
Bolo novo, mas
Cobaia. Eu adoro ser cobaia dela. Semana passada eu adorei.
esse tipo de cobaia
Ela botou uma torta do quê?